I shouldn't have noticed the way she smelled, like rosemary and heat, but I did. It was a Tuesday, late afternoon, fading light. I'd just gotten off my shift delivering appliances, still sweating through my shirt when I saw her, struggling with a ladder and some duct tape outside her front door. She lived 2 floors above me. We'd never talked. Not really. Just nods in the hallway. She had this kind of presence that made silence feel earned, not awkward. Need help? I asked before thinking. She looked over her shoulder. Loose cardigan, keys between her teeth. Eyes narrowed like she was trying to place me. Then softened. Yes. God, yes. I held the ladder while she patched something above the door. Wind chime or Wi-Fi camera. I don't even know. But her wrist brushed mine when she reached over. And she didn't pull back right away. You're not in school? She asked, still up there. I shook my head. No. Just working. She gave this little hum, like that told her more than it should have. 10 minutes later, she offered tea. I didn't plan to say yes, but I heard myself say it anyway. Maybe it was the way her voice dropped on the word tea, soft and slow like it wasn't about tea at all. Her place smelled like something simmering, thyme maybe, and incense that had been lit hours ago. Books were everywhere, stacked under chairs and on the windowsill. A sweater hung from a lamp like someone had taken it off mid-thought. She poured 2 cups and sat on the opposite end of the couch. I took the far side like an idiot, like distance was something I needed. She sipped and watched me over the rim. Then, out of nowhere, "Can I sit closer?" I froze. My hand around the mug tightened just slightly. "Yeah," I said. "Please do." She didn't smile, just moved. One slow, careful shift. Not touching, just less air between us. I could hear the ticking of her clock, the creak of the floor above. She was close enough that the scent of her shampoo reached me. Something herbal, expensive. Her knee angled toward mine. "You always offer to hold ladders for strangers?" she asked. "You're not a stranger," I said, then regretted it, then didn't. Her gaze lingered on me like she was deciding something. She didn't look away when she said, "My ex-husband used to hate that I asked for help." That stopped me. Not the words, the tone. Like she was pulling the edge of something heavy, trying to see if it'd lift. I looked down at her hands. No ring, just the faint mark where one used to be. "I don't mind," I said quietly. She looked at me for a long second, then blinked like she'd remembered where we were. "Well," she said. "Good." The silence stretched, but neither of us tried to fill it. Her fingers brushed mine on the couch, just barely, and stayed there. We sat like that for a while, not moving. Her thumb drifted once, grazing the side of mine. I didn't know what this was. I just knew I didn't want to leave yet. Then she said, just above a whisper, "You remind me what it feels like to want something." And the air in the room shifted, like we'd crossed some invisible line. She didn't move her hand. Neither did I. There was a kind of gravity to the silence. Not heavy, just deliberate. Like if either of us spoke too loudly, the moment would tip and spill into something we couldn't fold back into polite conversation. She leaned forward slightly to grab her tea, her shoulder brushing my arm. I watched the way her fingers curved around the mug. No polish, slight ink stain on one nail, like she'd been marking up papers earlier. Right, she was a professor or something. English, maybe. Couldn't remember. She caught me staring. "What?" I blinked. "Nothing. Just, you've got a bit of ink on your hand." She looked down, rubbed it absently with her thumb. "It never comes off," she said. "Occupational hazard." I nodded like I understood, but my throat felt too dry. The truth was, I was noticing a lot more than that. Like the way her laugh hadn't shown up yet, but I could sense it was warm. Or how she always looked like she was about to leave a room, even when she was sitting still. She sighed, leaned back again. Not quite touching, but closer than before. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Yeah." She looked down at her mug, then at me. "Do you think I'm too much older?" I didn't expect that. My brain scrambled to answer but not sound stupid. "I don't think about it like that," I said. "I mean, yeah, I noticed, but it doesn't feel wrong." She gave this crooked smile, like it hurt a little to hear. It should. There was something brittle in her tone now. Not anger. More like she was bracing for something. I didn't ask what. Maybe because I knew she wouldn't tell me yet. Maybe because I didn't want her to. Instead, I said, "Why did you really ask me up here?" She turned her head slowly, like she'd been expecting the question all along. "I wanted company," she said. "And you were kind. I don't get a lot of that." The words hit harder than they should have. I didn't know what to do with them, so I just nodded. Outside, a siren passed. The sound faded, but she didn't look away. "I know it's messy," she added. "I'm not trying to make anything happen." Her hand stayed on my arm. Just enough pressure to be felt, not enough to be claimed. I didn't move. I kept telling myself I could, that it wasn't too late, that all I had to— She turned her head toward me. Her eyes were soft, tired. Now I think I'm exhausted pretending that's still true. The room felt impossibly still. Even the clock on the wall had stopped ticking. I should have said something smart, or nothing at all. But I heard myself say, "You don't have to pretend with me." She gave me this look, like she wanted to believe me but didn't know how. That was the exact moment her phone buzzed. We both jumped. It lit up beside her on the coffee table. "Alex? Department chair?" She grabbed it fast, hit decline, didn't explain. I stared at the name. "Your faculty?" I said before I could stop myself. She didn't answer right away. "Adjunct," she said finally. "I was going to tell you." That word was echoed in my head like a bell. My heart kicked hard against my ribs. This was real now. Not some vague connection. Not an almost touch on a couch. She was a teacher. I wasn't her student, not directly, but still close enough to feel the rules humming between us like electric fence wire. "I should go," I said, moving to stand, but her hand tightened around mine. Not begging, just holding. "You haven't done anything wrong," she said. Eyes not leaving mine. I swallowed. "Not yet." She smiled small, sad. "Then don't. Stay a while longer. Just talk." But the way she looked at me wasn't just about talking. It was about how lonely her apartment sounded when the door shut. How tired her hands looked, even when they reached for warmth. I sat back down slowly. Her knee touched mine this time. No accident. She didn't move it. Neither did I. I don't know who moved first. Maybe neither of us did. Maybe it was just time that shifted something between us. Her knee was still against mine. Her fingers still wrapped loosely in mine, the warmth of them tethering me to that couch. "You should tell me to leave," I said quietly. Her breath caught, just barely. "Why?" "Because I don't know what this is," I said. "And I don't think you do either." She looked down. Her thumb rubbed the back of my hand once, then stilled. "You think I don't know what I'm doing?" she said. Not angry, not defensive, just exposed. "I think you're lonely," I said. "And I think I'm too young to pretend this isn't messing with my head." That got her attention. Her eyes lifted to mine, searching. "You're not too young," she said carefully. "You just think you are because people told you you should be. You're my neighbor, and you work where I—" "You're not my student," she interrupted. "But it's still a line," I said louder than I meant to. "Isn't it?" She pulled her hand away then. Not fast, not cold, just deliberately, like she needed space to hear herself think. I missed her touch immediately. She stood up and walked to the window, arms crossed, shoulders tight. "I'm not trying to play games with you," she said, facing the glass. "I didn't invite you up here for this. But it's happening anyway," I said. She turned slowly. There was something in her expression, not guilt, just truth. "You make me feel wanted," she said. "Not admired, not flirted with, wanted. And I didn't know how much I missed that until you sat on my couch." The words sat between us, heavy. I stood, moved a little closer, but kept my distance. "You make me feel like I matter," I said. "Like someone's actually looking." She looked at me like she was seeing every part of me. The parts one didn't say out loud, the parts one tried to laugh off. "I don't want to hurt you," she whispered. "You won't," I lied. She took a step forward. "So did I?" We were close now. Not touching, but every part of me ached to. I think I should kiss you, she said softly. And I think I shouldn't. I nodded, voice low. Then do one of them. We stood like that, eyes locked. Neither moving. Not yet. The clock ticked again. Somehow it had restarted. And then, just above a whisper, "Are you sure you want this?" she asked. She wasn't talking about the kiss. She was talking about the fall. I didn't answer. I just looked at her. And didn't blink. She didn't kiss me. Not then. Instead, she stepped back. Not far. Just enough to put space where there hadn't been any a moment ago. "I need to tell you something," she said. Her voice wasn't soft now. It had an edge, a caution. "You might hate me for it." My chest tightened. "What?" She crossed her arms, held them close to her body. The kind of posture people take when they expect to be hit. Not physically, but with judgment. With someone walking out. "I knew who you were before you said anything." I blinked. "What?" "I saw your name on the building list. I've seen your file in the system. You applied for the Creative Fellowship in our department last year." I stared at her. She kept going. "I didn't connect it right away, not at the door. But when you sat on my couch, it hit me. And I didn't say anything." I stepped back. The air sucked out of me. "That fellowship," I said. "You're on the selection board." She nodded once. My stomach twisted, not with anger exactly. Just the sick, slipping feeling that maybe this hadn't been what I thought it was. "So what is this?" I asked. "Some guilt thing? I don't know, way to—" "No," she cut in sharp. "Don't do that. Don't reduce it. I didn't plan this." My hands were fists and I hadn't realized. "So what now?" I said. "You recuse yourself from the board? Pretend I don't exist? Or I do the noble thing and walk away so nobody thinks this was anything but—" She stepped forward. "I'll take myself off the board," she said. "I already drafted the email." My breath caught. I didn't expect that. She looked at me, full on, no dodging. "I'd rather lose that vote," she said, "than lie to you again." The silence that followed was different than the others. It didn't ask for words. It just hovered, weighty, sharp-edged. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to leave. Part of me wanted to reach for her again. But I just stood there. Then she asked, voice barely audible, "Do you still want to stay?" She stood in front of me like she was bracing for something. Maybe rejection, maybe relief. Her question still hung in the room. "Do you still want to stay?" I looked at her. Really looked. There were lines at the corners of her eyes, tension in her jaw. Her cardigan had slipped slightly off one shoulder, but she hadn't noticed. She looked nothing like the fantasy I'd built in my head. She looked real, exhausted, brave, terrified. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I moved to the chair across from the couch and sat. Not next to her. Not yet. I needed a breath of space to find the words. "I didn't expect to feel this," I said finally. "Not just attraction, but like I fit here. Like you saw something and didn't flinch." She exhaled, like she'd been holding her breath the entire time. "I'm scared of this," she said. "You're young. And I've spent the last year pretending I don't want anything from anyone." "Do you?" I asked. She hesitated, then nodded once. "Yes, God, yes. But not just anything. I want something honest." I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "This could be real," I said. "But only if we stop trying to tiptoe around it." She looked at me, eyes wet. "And if it breaks us? Then at least we'll know we weren't pretending." A beat passed. Then she sat beside me again, slow, like she was deciding at every inch. Her shoulder pressed gently against mine. No hand-holding, no kiss, just shared space. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner," she said. "I didn't want to scare you off." "I was already scared," I said. "Still am." She smiled faintly. "Good. Means we're not idiots." Another silence, but this one was easier. Looser. The kind that comes after something heavy lifts. "Tell me something you haven't told anyone," she said. I looked down, picked at the edge of my jeans. "I wrote a short story about you," I said. Before I even knew your name. Her eyes widened. I kept going, embarrassed now. After I passed you in the stairwell a few times. You were always holding a grocery bag like you didn't trust anyone else to carry it. I made up this whole character. Lonely, complicated, smarter than everyone around her. She had this apartment filled with books and ghosts and broken clocks. She laughed. Quietly, hands covering her face. That's deeply creepy, she said. Yeah, I said. It was. She looked at me, then leaned her head on my shoulder, just for a moment. I'm glad you stayed, she said. I nodded. Me too. No kiss. No grand gesture. Just two people sitting on a couch that suddenly didn't feel too small anymore. It's been 6 months since that night. I still think about how close I came to walking out of her apartment, pretending nothing had happened. Pretending I hadn't felt something I didn't have words for. We're not hiding anymore. She stepped down from the fellowship board the next day. Sent the email without asking me to read it, without fanfare. Just a decision she made, like she was choosing clarity over fear. We took things slow. Slower than I thought I'd have the patience for. We still live 2 floors apart. Still drink tea on the same couch. Some nights we touch without talking. Other nights we talk without touching. She still reaches for my hand when the room goes quiet. I still know she didn't speak, just kissed my temple and went to make coffee. Or the night I woke up on her couch, blanket tucked around me, soft jazz playing low. She wasn't in the room, just a note on the table. Didn't want to wake you. Stay as long as you need. That was the night I realized I didn't just want her. I trusted her. She's still not easy. I'm still figuring myself out. But somehow we meet in the middle, not always neatly but honestly. The last time we sat by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass, she said, I don't need you to save me. I just like knowing you're here. I didn't say anything. I just reached for her hand. And she let me hold it without flinching.